So essentially, when we first started the Human Rights Zone campaign at the Inner Harbor, so we declared the Inner Harbor a Human Rights Zone. We did a survey of 147 workers and determined who the 3 worst violators were, and they were M&S Grill, Cheesecake Factory, and Phillips. And last spring, at the Be More Fair, and then we had the Human Rights Zone March. At the end of that march, we announced who the first target was, and we announced that Phillips Seafood was the worst of the worst, and we were going after them. Well, and we called for a 6-month dialogue to resolve the human rights abuses that were going on down there. They didn't ever contact us to sit down face to face, but instead, they got workers together in a closed-door meeting and threatened them that if they organized, they were going to shut down the restaurant, and sort of chased organizers away, and just behaved pretty badly. And so when workers got together at our Staying on Track retreat, which was at the end of that 6-month dialogue, we said, well, look, we just thought about it, and we're like, if Phillips is any indication of how the other restaurants are going to work, are going to react to us targeting them, then we're just going to be pulled in so many different directions, and this is going to take forever. Why don't we just go to the top of the profit chain, to the developers that really control the Inner Harbor? And there's 2 developers at the Inner Harbor, and really hold the developers who have a lot of control over the vendors, all the different restaurants and retailers in their establishment. They have a lot of control over them. They have a lease agreement with them, and they require that these vendors do many things. And so what we would be saying is that you would have to require in your lease agreement that the vendors pay at least a living wage, and that they treat their workers with respect and dignity. And so that's how the legally binding economic human rights agreement would work. And then the developers would put money towards a fund, a healthcare and education fund for all the wage workers at the Inner Harbor and their families. So that's how we would meet the demands of living wages and healthcare and education. Is it that these people at the top often they make all the decisions that affect the people at the base, the people that workers who help sort of sustain the Inner Harbor, that work, and their work is what keeps the Inner Harbor running, and workers don't have a voice in what goes on. And so to change that power relationship where the person at the top actually has to consider and contend with the voices of people at the base is a really powerful thing to do. But it actually has it does seem harder in some ways, but it actually is easier in other ways, because it allows us to unite, automatically, just immediately unite all the wage workers down at the Inner Harbor. Because it's not, we're going after Phillips or we're going at this one restaurant. It's just one target that everyone can come together around. And so that's actually a really big strength. And then also the developers don't actually have, they don't have direct control over workers' lives. So, the retribution that we saw that Phillips was willing to dish out to workers that tried to get organized. They threatened to shut down the restaurant. They told people not to talk to us. The developers don't even know who the workers are. They can't. So there's actually a lot of power in that.